The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
There's a girl, she's a star, she's got style, Steffi Star, you see her face around the town, she's popular, Steffi Star.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Weinstein.
And I'm Meredith Keach.
And we have a huge real estate team. Huge. 11 people. We specialize in residential, commercial.
We bring food trucks to our open houses.
Yes, last night we had an amazing open house with a mac and cheese truck and burgers and fries. It was delicious.
Lots of people.
We're always here to help you and entertain you.
And we are so excited about our guest today. I mean, Brian, you're fun, but we have a love sex coach here, which is really great.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
I mean, you guys were chatting. You guys were chatting when I walked in. I don't even want to know what you were chatting with.
He only heard the sex part.
Well, we are G-rated here, maybe PG, right, Adam?
PG-13?
PG leaning to PG.
PG leaning to G. So we just have to be a little careful of things that we say.
Well, the Barbie movie was PG-13.
We're a family show. Right, Meredith?
Yes.
We're a family show. Okay, so let's introduce our guest. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Lisa Acker. I am a love, sex, and dating coach. So happy to be here with you, Stephanie and Meredith.
Thanks for joining
Very
us.
nice to meet you as well.
Yes.
And
I'm Brian Bell, longtime radio guy in Boston. Meredith helped me buy a house and checking out your fine podcast.
Oh, it's very fine.
Yeah.
Now, do you know Baltazar?
Yeah.
Are you friends with him?
We work together, yeah.
We love Baltazar.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh, that's so great. Really
Yeah.
so exciting.
like two famous people here.
I mean, yeah, and I met Lisa at a networking event. Dana Zola. Remember Dana
yes.
came? DZ events.
Wow.
So we went to, me and Brooke and Alexa, we went to her event at the Seaport and we met Lisa.
So cool.
No coincidences.
Okay,
at all.
so how does your job work?
So basically what I do is I coach ladies on helping them with love, with their loving themselves as is, with their worth. I help empower them in their femininity. I work with couples as well in relationships to empower them in their sexuality as well. If they're having trouble with the intimacy department, I help them with that. I also just in general want women to be more confident in their bodies and love themselves, like how they were born to be, as opposed to trying to change themselves. So
I love it. I'm a little smitten.
I have a lot of work. We might need 2 hours. Wow.
So in a traditional sense for therapy, would I call you up and make an appointment and then do you use insurance to pay, or are you cash only? Where's your office? How does it work? Most people don't know what a love sex coach does.
So
including me.
I do all of my appointments virtually. So I'm going to be Zooming with people. I don't have a physical office. I don't take insurance. That's not how I operate. It's usually a session. It's between 60 to 75 minutes. It's going to be just solely, just a one-on-one. I like to give my clients some homework. So that they can actually go home after we've talked about what's going on. And how I usually like to do things. First of all, I'll start off with just going back to their childhood. Trying to figure out some of the patterns from what happened in the past. because those are actually what affect their dating lives, and then can also put like roadblocks on their intimacy and how they're having intimacy with their partner. The other thing that I do once I go back and kind of figure out the patterning and what happened with the childhood and what the dynamic that was with their man, with like their father and with their mother and all of that, then I'll kind of take a look and see about any attachment patterns that are there. And once the attachment patterns kind of come out, those are what show up in relationships, and people don't realize they kind of date from their attachment patterns. So if you're an avoidant attachment pattern, guess what you're going to do whenever your partner feels too close to you, you're going to run. Same thing as if you're an anxious one, you're going to be like, I want to like cling on. And so those are usually what I do. And then I'll give my clients some homework. Like, you know, I'd say like somewhere between like 15 and 30 minutes, a couple, maybe 2 to 5 questions, just depending, to go home, work on it. Once they cut the cord for any past relationships, then and only then is it really powerful for them to start dating and get back out there. And then I coach them on how to really attract that high value partner man of their dreams.
Now, when you're coaching, do you use a whistle?
And this is why we needed Brian today.
What did you want me? Did you want me to
know what to say.
I was just curious. That's what coach kind of brings to mind for me. So I wasn't sure.
Only with you, Brian.
Okay. I'm sure that works.
Wow. So you said dating though for people. So do you also work with couples who are married or, you know, long-term relationship and maybe they're just stalling out or see some issues?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what I usually see in couples is there's a couple different dynamics that pop up. One is boredom, right? You know, I mean, how do you spice up your relationship? Maybe everything is like going pretty smooth, but you're wanting to kind of mix it up, do something different. I teach people how to do that. Some of the other things that I see with couples is a lack of respect. If you're not meeting your partner in the middle, maybe you really weren't that compatible from the beginning and the get-go. So there are a couple different ways I like to deal with that. I'm not going to sit there and advise anyone to, you know, just dissolve their marriage. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here just to help them work through some of that, to either get some of that spark back, ignite that spark, or if they are not feeling, you know, respected or empowered in their relationship, really show them how to do that. I'm very comfortable with that. And then if they're on the intimacy department, if you're wanting to spice it up a little bit, you know, we all could use a little fire in our step, right?
When the whistle comes in.
Then that's what I teach as well. I really just love to work with couples and ladies to show them how to really be empowered in their femininity, sexuality, and you know, really just own that part of themselves.
Right. I love it. And how did you train for this?
I trained for years. I was a matchmaker for a different company, a separate company, then decided to branch off on my own. So while I was a matchmaker, I was coaching hundreds of clients. I saw both men and women come in. Usually, obviously, they were in a different point of their lives. They had just dissolved their relationship or out of their relationship for a long time and trying to find love. But it really showed me, one, the patterns that you can see in different people. A lot of the same patterning would come up, even though they're different people. And you start to recognize it, and, you know, and then with the intimacy, I've just seen it throughout years and years and years of experience, just how you can like really just shift things just so easily if you just know how, like, the little things to watch out for before they become the big things.
Oh. Steph, you've been rendered son. I'm going to take your phone away.
I know.
You're using it as a distraction.
I am.
Stephanie is very uncomfortable in this space. If you can't,
I am so uncomfortable.
if you compliment Stephanie, she gets uncomfortable.
Why is that?
I don't. Well, let's ask Lisa.
Now I'm starting to sweat. I need the fan. This is just
I
sweating.
mean, people use their phones for different reasons. Sometimes they use it as a distraction because do you not like to be the center of attention?
Well, it depends.
If you're, okay, so are you more the type that likes to
I don't want to talk about me. Let's talk about Meredith. This is not about me. This is not a show about
There
me.
we go.
This is a show to help our audience.
No, but I think that is a big issue, is receiving compliments, right? Men or women, is when someone compliments you, people have a very difficult time.
It's your feminine energy. So if you're empowered and you're masculine, if you're in your masculine, you're used to like doing and taking charge, and that's your masculine energy. But feminine energy is actually receiving. And so when a man pays you a compliment or your partner pays you a compliment, if you're in your feminine energy, you can accept and say thank you. But like if you're used to leading and you're used to really being in charge, it's really hard. You want to just kind of take things over. And that is that dominant energy that really works well in business, but doesn't necessarily work as well in attracting a partner, especially a masculine partner.
So does that come from your relationship with your mother?
It doesn't necessarily, like, it can come from a lot of different dynamics. It can come from your relationship, how the dynamics that you saw like growing up with your dad and mom. It can come from a lack of what you saw growing up with your dad and mom. It doesn't necessarily mean that your mom or your dad was more dominant or masculine. I mean, it could also come from the fact that you grew up in poverty and maybe you're like, that will never happen to me. I mean, every case is so different. It's so hard to determine exactly what causes that. But a lot of women have masculine energy and then want to attract a very masculine man and then wonder why they have trouble doing that. And that's why.
I mean, you can't not kind of put yourself in this role when you're thinking about that, right? Like, how is my feminine energy and am I able to receive a compliment? Do I pay compliments?
And how do we bring it out? How do we get that back?
How do you get it back? I mean, you have to really if you're a really masculine type of person, you have to really just kind of step out of that role and remember to soften yourself, relax a little bit. Like when you get on that date, say you're on a first date, okay, you get into a little bit more of that soft energy and just feel like if you feel yourself trying to be like, okay, I've got to organize the date or I've got to make the plans, step back for a minute. Realize that what you're doing is you're taking charge, which is really great in a business sense, but it's not going to work in a relationship sense. And then just pull back from that and just sit there and say, okay, I can relax. Let the man lead. If he pays you a compliment, just accept it. Go back into the space of just leaning back, being really soft, really playful in that feminine, soft, wonderful energy that we're all meant to be in. But we have a hard time, us successful business women have a hard time doing. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying with myself.
Yeah.
1,000%. Because with our job is logistics essentially at the end of the day, for the most part. And then we've got negotiations, whatever. But when I'm trying to apply that to my home, I become like a beast. I become, it is full overdrive because you want to control everything, every situation, and then you lose the fun. I mean, we're planning a trip and I'm a couple weeks out and I'm already in the space of I need lists and I need checkoff boxes and I need to get this organized and that organized. And certainly that has its space. But then I'll find myself being aggressive towards my kids. I think that's part of it, of having to be able to say, relax.
How do we do that? She's planning this big trip.
Yes.
How does
do you
she
get that
take
balance?
everything off, some of the things off her plate?
Well, some of that is what's the dynamic between you and with your husband and all of that. What's that dynamic like? Can you ask him to kind of say, hey, can you help me with this?
Totally.
And can you plan a couple of these things?
Yep.
So, take them off your plate. Okay, so then you ask him to do that. Well, then when you feel yourself going into that planner phase, like, and it's getting to a point where it's like, it's not fun for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's probably what's
it's
happening.
Fun, but I find myself, even so, if you're going on a family trip, of course, it's not a vacation, right? Like when we call it a family trip for a reason. It's exciting and fun, but it's not like I'm going to sit by the beach, by myself or something. And so there's that piece of it, because I'm mom, I'm wife, I'm, whoever we're going with, that role too. But then I find that it's hard for me to get out of the logistics role planning phase, because I do enjoy it so much, and it's what we do for work, so it comes easily to phasing out of that to then getting into, you can relax now, Keach.
Your feminine energy.
My feminine energy needs to chill the F out.
Right.
And
yes.
Take
but
a
I'm the
step back.
same exact way.
Yeah.
Just we have a rental house in Duxbury, and I had a huge family party, and I was obsessed over the parking. And I had to make a list, who is parking where. Tony's like, can I just take that off your plate?
Yeah.
I don't want you to worry about parking.
Right.
I've got it.
And it's almost like you had a need, maybe. I'm not speaking for you, but if it were me, it would be like I had a need to be obsessed about something, to be focused on something.
I don't know what it is. I felt like I
Task-oriented.
almost didn't trust him with the parking.
And I do that too to my poor husband, who's entirely capable.
Exactly. And so is Tony.
Poor Brian's like,
right.
I'm in that role all the time, Brian.
We never do it right. We never do it right. Even if we take it off the list, we didn't do it quite right.
Why is that? All of us women have such high masculine energy constantly, every day.
I think there's something that lives a lot, especially like us masculine women, like it's almost perfectionist energy.
Yeah.
Because I have that. And so I'll try to give someone else the reins when I'm, doing something, and it has a little bit of trouble. I have trouble doing it because it's almost like, well, it's not going to be done right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's how you feel. And you have to learn just to be like, if it's not done the way that I think it's done, it's still okay. It's still going to be done.
The piece, I
right.
think. That's it.
It's still going to be done. And you just got to let go of the reins. And we all do that as masculine women. We get into our masculine selves and they're like, but it has to look like this and it has to be like this.
Yes.
And it doesn't.
It
that's
doesn't.
that's the beauty of it. It doesn't. We just have to know that it doesn't.
Well, okay. There's tip number 1.
Let go.
Let go. Yeah. That's a lot.
It is a lot. I feel like you're speaking right to us, Meredith and I.
Definitely. Most definitely. I'll put myself out there, though. I think I'm pretty good at receiving a compliment.
Yes, you are.
It feels good. But
Right.
that took practice.
You
over
do.
a
You
long
say
time.
thank you.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh,
I don't at all.
Right. Which I wonder if I don't think my mom is good at receiving a compliment. I'll compliment her today and see how I'm going to see her this afternoon.
Yeah. See how it goes. What will you say?
Well, if she looks beautiful, I'll tell her she looks beautiful. I did tell her she looked beautiful recently.
What'd she say?
I don't
You
know.
don't
I think
remember?
she was shocked. Right? Because I think
Interesting.
that
Right.
we're modeled from our moms. I mean, certainly, we're taught now with young girls, body image, be careful to not go down that road because young girls are bombarded so much. With my daughter, I encourage her brothers to not be lay off comments about looks, appearance, unless it's positive. And man, B has a tough time. He does not have a filter. And he recognizes, this is my oldest, he recognizes that he doesn't have a filter. And just this morning, he was going down a road and I was like, there it goes. It's just a runaway train. And he was like, I know, I saw it going. And I just couldn't.
That's good, though. He recognizes it. And he reined himself in.
Yeah. Yeah, he said something to Shay about her chin the other day. And I just looked at him and was like, what? He goes, I know. It just came out and I don't know why. But anyway, going back to the body image, so I think that's a hard one too. Interesting. Am I just ruining my children? I feel like I'm gonna. We all do, right? To a certain degree.
Right. How do we not ruin them?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that everybody is going to put something on their shoulder. They don't realize that they're doing because that's how we learn, right?
Right.
And that's how you grow.
Yeah.
And sometimes your dynamic, whatever your dynamic is that you had with your parents, is actually what's supposed to like really empower you in your life and what you're supposed to learn the most from. And people get so lost in that dynamic, or like what we put on our children, like God forbid, but or whatever you believe in. But I mean, for me personally, that my dynamic with my father was not the best. He left when I was 1. And so, but I've learned the most from that dynamic. And it was in, this is my sister's quote, not mine, but it's imperfectly perfect. Whatever you teach your kids is imperfectly perfect, because that's what they're going to learn. That's what they're going to grow from. That may be the dynamic they model in their relationships if they are not growing and learning. But in general, most people, that's the best thing that you can do for them, actually, strangely enough.
Are there any common things that you found, like going back to people's childhoods and stuff, that like a common thread of this leads to this? Or are there any, strange traits that you
Good
see
question.
that kind of lead to different things and relationships later on?
I mean, as far as like childhood goes, like definitely if you had a strong, like secure, childhood growing up, and that means seeing 2 parents loving each other, like that dynamic, those people tend to get married quicker. They tend to be in relationships longer. They tend to know how to date because they model what they saw growing up.
Oy.
It's a little bit, I mean, if you're not in that dynamic growing up, it can be a little bit more like you've got to like fumble through it. And that is the trickiest thing. I know, like, that's, a little bit of what happened for me, but I know I've seen that a lot with clients. Like, because if your parents are dating, or only one is married, and then you see the other one dating, it's a little bit harder, and you live with the person that's single. It's a little bit harder to understand what a healthy dynamic looks like and what that means when you date. And then you're trying to date, you attract what you are, not what you want. And people get so confused and lost around this because like they're like, I want this and I've got this, and they're like, why can't I meet this type of person? Unfortunately, the person that you meet is who you are. So if you need to work on yourself, this is why I like to get people healthy first before people are like, I want to date. I'm ready to date. Well, okay, but have you cut all the cords from all your past relationships? Have you sat there and actually worked on whatever was going on and gotten through that and like just said, okay, I'm ready to date. I'm ready to move forward? Because really, this is the thing. A lot of people, what they are, like, we're either in our queen and king energy as men and women, or we're in our prince and princess energy. And people don't know what prince and princess energy is, but it's once you get into different kinds of energy, it's really easy to spot this.
Wait, is this role playing?
It could be.
Did you bring your crown?
Where's my robe? I mean, what turns you on?
That's for another episode.
But I mean, really, that is the case. And if you're in your princess energy, I'll just give you an example of some of what it could be. Some of it is just how you treat other women. Do you like love other women? Are you like I'm so happy for them? Are you secretly in your energy thinking like, why her? Like, why this? So if you can't love on other women, don't expect to be able to draw in a king, because guess what? That's part of your energy. Now, king energy is how you treat others as well. So like a king's going to open your door. He's going to pay for the check. He's going to want to make your life easier. He's not going to sit there and make your life like miserable. And he's not going to get like, I mean, when you're dating in relationships and all of that, it can be very, very different. But men, who are in their prince energy, can put you down, or they don't want to see you succeed. That's just one example of many that I can think of prince energy. And until you're in your queen or king energy, it's really hard to spot these things because you just think that people are growing and learning. And I'm an optimist anyway, so I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But that being said, once you get into that energy, you can spot people from a mile away. And be like, okay. And then you know who to kind of keep at a distance because they're not going to be empowering for you as a friend or as a partner.
Now, what about changing, right? So you're in a relationship for a long period of time. Is it true that people change and then maybe you grow apart because you change or come back together? Or do you think right from the beginning we're all kind of remain the same, just with some nuances?
I think people, okay, so depending on when you got married, I do think that obviously you're going to change. And you see a lot of couples that get married in their 20s and they change together, or they grow together and they remain married. You see people that can change, and maybe they change differently, but if they want to work on the relationship, they can still remain together. And then you have the people that change and completely change totally differently and probably didn't know who they were when they got married. Usually those are the people that end up divorced. Yeah.
Well, I always say you don't marry anyone you can't grow with, right? And I keep telling Alexa that. You met Alexa.
Yes.
And I said, everybody can fall in love, right? It's kind of easy to fall in love. You can love your girlfriends and you can love this guy and you can love that guy, but it's really important that you do fall in love with somebody that you can grow with. Yeah, and that somebody's not going to just stay in the same spot as someone else grows. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really important to want to grow as a person in general, whether you're with someone or not, because a lot of people, like, their crux is that they can't receive feedback, right? It's one thing if you're having a lot of success with what you're doing, and that's fine. But most of us need some feedback or need to be able to understand, like, okay, hey, a little bit of something actually will help us grow and become better. And then, you just keep getting better and better and better and better. And I mean, that's how you really, just start dominating whatever you're doing in your life, career-wise, or in your relationship. Like, how you grow in your relationship is being able to meet your partner where you're at and them meeting you too. It's not, you just come there and they're like, okay, I'm good. But being able to meet each other in the middle and then really work on, that communication and having that open communication.
How do you receive feedback? How do you learn to receive feedback?
How do you learn to receive feedback? I mean, that's a really good question. It really depends on the type of person. You have to, realize it's not a reflection of you. You can't think of it as a criticism or oh gosh, well, they're putting me down. You have to just say, okay, how can I be better? Does this live within me? Maybe I'm not recognizing it or don't want to be open to it, but actually, could that be true? Right? And a lot of times when people are saying something to you, there is some truth into what people tell you. Maybe it's not full on, but being able to recognize that truth, being open to that truth, and then knowing that is a little bit of truth, and then sitting there and saying, okay, yeah, could I work on that? Yeah. Then just kind of slowly working on it. It's not an overnight process. Nobody changes and keeps changing, day after day after day. That would just be exhausting.
Right.
But just being able to really be open and learn and grow in your life is what makes you better, at least in my own personal opinion.
I agree with that. So you're saying you have to be open to it, to receiving it, and hearing it, and not seeing it just as a criticism, but as a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, the dating world is so tough right now. We talked about Alexa and Brooke and, all these gorgeous girls, heading into their 30s, and they go on these dates and they just get ghosted. After fabulous dates, or they're on these dating apps and they reach out and then they don't hear back again.
I feel like it was that way with us, though.
It was. I feel like I had a boyfriend every second.
I mean, I didn't get married until I was 33. I met my husband when I was in my late 20s, and
well, you were traveling and living in Alaska,
I was
getting courted with a dead fish.
Yes. This is,
Wow.
It was
Or-
frozen.
Oh, sorry, frozen fish, right? Not dead.
Romance is
I
not
take it
dead.
back. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that still existed, but I think it comes down to the maybe I don't know. This is my perspective. I think it also comes down to the individual. Like when we had the girls in and we talked about relationships and they said all of that, like, well, I just get ghosted this or that. And the more we talked about it, it didn't appear that they were ready to meet someone.
Meredith diagnosed. She goes,
It
yeah.
just didn't. At the end of the day, I was like, you guys don't want to meet someone. And they were like, you know what, Meredith, we don't want to talk to you about it. You know, and that was after 20 minutes of it, that they are having fun doing this and that, and that they're just not there. What do you think, Brian?
I'm curious. Have the apps made it less personal?
The apps have made, and we might have talked a little bit about this, Stephanie, when we were at the event, but I don't love what the apps have. I don't love what the apps have done, in particularly. Like, what I think that the apps have done. Okay, so have they opened you up to a pool of people you would never meet? Absolutely.
Right.
Like, so is your pool of people a lot bigger? Absolutely. But what they've also done is opened you up to a bunch of people that you would never meet. So now people think they have grass is greener syndrome. Oh. They're on this big and better deal or bigger, better plan. And so, like, you brush your hair the wrong way. And then all of a sudden you're brushing your hair the wrong way and they're like, I'm sorry, I'm going to, get back on the app. And
Okay, that's Alexa.
How does she brush her hair?
Well, no. This is
right.
Alexa. She'll be looking through the app and she's like, ew, his sister's ugly. I don't want to have an ugly sister-in-law. Next. I'm like, what? This is the most shallow thing I've ever heard. I don't understand. You're the kindest, nicest person. What is going on? And maybe Meredith is right. Maybe she secretly doesn't want a boyfriend, although she tells me every day she does want one. I can't figure it out. Then she always says, I crave the human touch. She goes, when I was a baby, you never touched me. I go, what? I said, Alexa, what are you talking about? I hugged you constantly. This is like a new thing
And she
with her.
lived with you until like
She lived with
2
me.
months
She
ago.
just moved out at 28, yet she's like, I crave the human touch. And she was telling all the relatives, mother never touched me. I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom. Of course, I carried you everywhere.
there's a lot of people on there, though, too, that are just looking for attention. That's what social media has done just in general. Instagram, Facebook, you name it. People are posting pics for the likes. They want that constant attention.
Right.
So there's people on the apps. There's a lot of things on the apps. So
on the dating apps, people are doing it for attention.
there's people in,
thought of that.
Right, I didn't either.
relationships that are just doing it to see what others. Oh, okay. If I'm in a relationship, doesn't necessarily mean that they're even unhappy, but they want us to see, do I still have it?
Oh, right.
I mean, and then there's people that are on there because they want to see, like, okay, well, yeah, am I attracted? Doesn't mean that they're necessarily not single, but they're not necessarily looking for a relationship. Why do you think people are so quick to, like, get on there and get off? They either got what they needed, they weren't looking in the first place, they weren't really serious about, meeting someone, or they're on there, for physical hookup, whatever you want to call it, right? Or they're not necessarily, like, looking for, that particular partner, because anyone that's actually looking for a partner is going to, they're going to discern, okay, I have like 3 or 4 good matches that I'm talking to right now. They're going to go on those dates. They're going to get over their fear, that hump of actually going on a date. And then they're going to be able to tell within a few dates, like, okay, maybe this person actually does have some, legs or whatever you want to call them, like skin in the game. And then they're going to want to actually kind of see where that goes, because why waste your energy and effort on 20 different people? It's exhausting to be online. You said there you go on date after date after date. Is that really fun after a while? I mean,
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't want to.
I think it would be fun. I had fun dating.
Well, some people have fun.
I'm a married woman right now.
I like dating. I like people. I like meeting people. So for me, that was not exhausting. But I think, too, my recollection from my friends and my single friends too, I think that there's a vulnerability to saying, and almost feel like, I think they think it's a negative to say, even when we're in our 20s and everybody was single, to say, I'm single and I would like to meet someone, right? That I think a lot of women that I know felt that they were just supposed to be plucked from the ether, that like Cupid was going to come out of the stars and all of a sudden create this situation where you meet each other. And I don't believe in that. I mean, I suppose it can happen, but it's a rarity. I think if you know yourself, if my husband got rid of me tomorrow, I would likely want to partner up again. Once I got to that point where I wanted to do it, I don't think it would take me very long to meet someone, because I'm honest about that I would want to meet someone. And then I would meet someone that I know myself, I know what I want, I know what I don't want. But there's that other feeling that's, it's odd to me that people feel that it's undesirable to say that. Am I right or wrong in that?
I think that people are just in a place, like, ideally, yes, you would say I would meet someone quickly.
Would that be queen energy right there?
What is that?
I think Meredith is queen. Isn't it? Queen
Meredith,
energy.
I thought you were going to be all set and not get married again.
I'm not saying I would get married. I mean, I do say that to my husband. Like, if you got rid of me, I probably wouldn't get another one of you. Meaning, like, I wouldn't get another husband. You know, I don't. Your relationship is fabulous in my mind, right? And so Stephanie's divorced, met Tony, and they have a rock star relationship. Yeah. Because I've been married, I've had 3 children, we have a family, it's amazing. So it would be, I'm not going to redo that because that part of my life is over. You know, I would do it in a different capacity.
Right.
So I guess that's what I'm saying is, you know.
So I think there's a lot of people just in general that are like you. Like, if they ended up divorced because they've already had the kids, they've already had that marriage, they wouldn't really necessarily get remarried again. And those, as a dating coach, depending on what you're looking for, you have to know how to spot those people. There are tells that men and women give. So if you are looking for marriage, there's a pretty big easy tell when like a man is, you're dating them and they're not in that place. They're not going to even get to that place anytime soon. You have to be able to discern that and be able to figure that out. Now, as far as, do I think that you can meet someone quickly? Yes and no. Because the thing is, you might meet somebody that you're compatible with quickly, but then you've got to kind of fumble through. You got to make sure, obviously, it's mental, physical, emotional, you know, like, do your lives align? Do you want the same things for the future? Like, you know, are you in the same place in your life? Like, what does that look like? You know, because it's not just like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Like, those are the immediate plans, right? You're talking like, if you want to stay in a relationship with that person for the rest of your life, you're talking about like 15, 20, 25 years. And so everything has to kind of fall into place and align. And that's where things sort of can hit a patch. It's not necessarily, you know, you could know every bit of who you are, but getting to meet that man that is a high quality man that you really actually want to be in a relationship with, that actually has the things that you're looking for. And I'm talking internal qualities, because let's face it, you know, the surface is the surface. We're all going to get older at some point. We're all going to, you know, I mean, and if you go off the surface and then you're wondering why you haven't attracted a nice partner, don't wonder, because the surface is, you could have the best surface ever. I mean, that could be the most shiny Rolls Royce you've ever seen. But guess what? All of a sudden there's dirt on the carpets. Now you open the trunk, he's got guns in the back.
Oh.
I'm just giving you
My mother said, never go out with anyone better looking than yourself. Sorry, Tony.
Maybe you lean back by the seatbelt and there's a piece of gum right there. So now it's stuck on you. You're like, get this off of me. You know, now you're going to cut your hair because it got stuck in your hair. I mean, there are so many little intricacies that I feel like when you date, if you're not aware of them, like you can get comfortable. And what I saw quite a bit in matchmaking is I saw a lot of people that came in after 20 to 10, 20, 30 years of marriage that were really comfortable but not happy. And they had stayed in that relationship for a lot of times for kids, but sometimes it was just because of the fear of putting themselves back out there, right? And then what ended up happening was they were just like in this spot where they were not happy, and then they were trying to almost relive their 20s in their 50s, which you can't do. Like, you like, I would see.
It just hurts my back.
So be realistic.
Right.
Be realistic, right?
Yeah. God, there's so much to unravel here, right? There's so much to talk about. I lost all my train of thought. I had some good questions, but let's continue on.
Well, dating. I mean, being realistic with if you were dating, right? I mean, yeah.
But
be
it's
realistic
like,
on a day-to-day
I don't
basis.
understand. I have such a good sense of people, and I can read people right away. And my intuition, I'm pretty spot on, even with my clients, just with everyone. But, I have friends that just don't see and they can't spot it. And how many dates are you supposed to go on before you realize this isn't the one? How much time do you waste?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's just in general.
I have friends like that too.
Yeah.
Where you say Stephanie and I could meet them, and maybe that's part of our work is knowing people, understanding them, pretty quick read. And
Meredith, something's up. She's like, this does not sit well with me. And I'm like, oh, you're right.
Yeah. But maybe they get attracted to the shiny. Maybe they get attracted to the Rolls Royce in the beginning, and that's what just captures them.
Oh, and I'm the opposite. I don't want that Rolls Royce.
No.
Right?
I mean, I would want the Rolls Royce.
Well, I don't know. No, that's not my no, that's not my type of guy. No, I don't like that. I'm actually afraid of that.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah.
So I will tell you, as someone who has dated both the Rolls Royce and the other, whatever the other end of that spectrum is, those shiny objects,
the Ford,
9 times out of 10, those shiny objects are not what you want.
Yeah, right.
Because the inside of that shiny object really matches the outside of the shiny object. It's superficial. It's like, I don't care about other people's feelings. The integrity might not be aligned. Like, they may not be the most honest person. They're really good looking. They're really attractive. But do they have the heart that matches? And I'm not saying that there can't be that exception to the rule of that shiny, beautiful object that you're like, wow, the heart is really, really good person. But 9 times out of 10, those people that are so shiny, there's a reason that they're going for. So there's a reason they have to project things on the surface. Think about that. Like, why, if you have such a good heart, if you have such a good soul, why does it always matter? Like, why do you have to have the best car, the best, the best looking person next to you, the best job? Why do you need all those things? You need all those things because you're empty. You're an empty soul that's trying to fill the surface of what's not here out there.
Right.
So
I still would like a Rolls Royce.
Yeah. We'll get you a nice Rolls Royce.
I'll drive it. I won't wait for someone to.
Exactly. You'll buy it yourself.
I'll buy it myself.
Buy it yourself.
Buy it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, what a change for traditional roles, right? Just over the last 30 years. It's like the change of all these communities who are experiencing urban sprawl, right? They look nothing like they did 30 years ago. Yeah. I mean, the role that my mother had is so different than where I'm at. And with my daughter, radically different. And then you look at, especially with all gender and, changes with different communities, what our kids are growing up with, it's radically different than what we grew up with. I mean, it's almost incomprehensible and difficult to teach, right? Other than tolerance, right? And be open and don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, But for modeling, the only sense that I really can teach from is my own experience in a 2-parent household, in a marriage. That's what I learned. But if my kids want something different, it's tough, right? To be able to help them navigate those waters other than just being a good person. I mean, it's just so radically different. We're changing by the moment.
Acceptance, I think, is a word that probably more people need to get into their vocabulary.
Yeah.
If it doesn't affect you, why are you worried if it affects anyone else? And I'm not here to tell anyone what to believe, but in general, that just understanding that not everybody's the same, but that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us special, and loving ourselves for that.
Perfectly imperfect.
Right.
Like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's wild. Brian?
I mean, all right. Well, do you have any advice to married couples that have been married 20, 25 years? Just some little tidbits that we can throw out there.
Or 16 years,
to
almost 17.
Spice things up. Or, I read something somewhere too. This married couple, she would come home after work and she'd say, I'm at 20%. I cannot give more than 20%.
I've seen that.
And he's like, I'm at 40%. So I'll take over more of the stuff right now because you're at 20%. And every day they would just tell each other, where they were at so they could help each other out. Yeah. But
I just try to make sure there's wine at home.
Right? A bottle of wine goes a long way.
Alcohol, lots of alcohol. No. I mean, depending on what, the issue is. If it's, you're like in the bedroom, obviously you can get bored of the same things. Like, men maybe change up the positions a little bit. Women don't, shave your legs. The things so treat your partner the way that you did when you were boyfriend and girlfriend. If you're in a marriage and you're like taking that person for granted, or you're not feeling like that person is still special because you've already got them, that person feels that. The less work that you put into the relationship, the more likely the relationship is going to start to divert. And then it's going to be hard to sit there and get it back together. So when, I say shave your legs, it sounds like such a small thing, but it really is the little things. Like, don't think that, pajama night is every night. We all want to be in our big, fluffy t-shirt and our sweatpants. I mean, and that is comfortable. But, when you're with someone, it's really important to treat them like you would when you barely knew them and when it was fresh, and bring that back in.
So treat him like he's my boyfriend.
Right. You're supposed to be dating at all times. But can we get back to the shaving of the legs? Doesn't everyone shave in the shower?
I love to shave my legs.
I shave my legs every day.
I love having soft legs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
not everybody does.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't think that everybody does.
We
that.
like self-care too, Steph.
We do.
We're big on it. We love People are like, have you been doing self-care? You need to. I'm like, oh, I got that covered. I got that buttoned up.
Yeah, we're all set
We're
with that.
fine with that.
Yeah.
What do guys
So
need to do? Brian.
I thought I was going to go home and shave my legs. but-
Not today.
No. Yeah, well, because it can get, you just get the monotony of like kids and going to school and doing all the stuff, and you just kind of get into that rhythm of like life that it's tough to break out of sometimes.
Romance goes a long way with the ladies. And so when I say romance, I mean not in the bedroom, I mean out of the bedroom. I mean, like, go whatever she likes. If she likes facials, if she likes massages, not you massaging her feet to try to get something out of that.
Yeah, Brian.
We know a lot of men that are guilty. Picking up her dry cleaning, going and getting her gas in her car. What is her love language, right? There's 5 different ones. There's receiving gifts, words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, and physical touch. And so whatever her love language is, if it's acts of service, then you go get gas in her car, you go pick up her dry cleaning, change a flat tire, you make her anything to make her life easier. Maybe picking up, lemons at the store, those types of things. If her love language is receiving gifts, well, guess what? You're going to probably have to get her some gifts. But most women, and I don't want to stereotype, a lot of women, buying them flowers or doing something thoughtful that says like, hey, you're thinking of me today, goes a long way. Or cooking her dinner maybe for once, and she comes in and everything's done. The house is clean. The dinner is cooked. There is not. Why are you looking like that?
He's like, shoot.
It's like, oh no. But doing those things, those go so far with women. And then when you go to rub her feet in bed, to go in advance, because most men's love language, in one of their love languages at least, is physical touch. And so if you're a physical touch guy and you're trying to romance her in the bedroom and you're wondering why she's not responding or reciprocative or, in that receiving energy, it's because she doesn't feel loved outside the bedroom. That's where romance starts, outside the bedroom. And then you can do, then she's going to be more apt to want to give you what you need on the other spectrum.
What is another love language for a man? So physical touch. What are some other ones?
The ones that I saw the most, I'd say, were quality time and quality time and physical touch were the two most common ones that I saw.
That's so simple.
I never would have thought quality time.
Well, I know. Do they really want quality?
We're just big dumb animals. We're very simple. We're very simple.
That's it. They only have 2. We have like 10.
Right. So, Brian, what would quality time look like for you?
Well, we just, getting out to the movies, like going out and seeing a good movie.
Just the two of you.
Just the two of us would be nice.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's kind of,
That's
watching our shows, like just having our time together to watch the shows and sit. We're waiting to watch the second season of The Bear, so got that coming up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you watch TV with Tones?
Yeah, but the thing is, he starts all different things, and then we don't watch everything. We don't finish it. So, and then he'll start another show, and then I'm like, wait, what about this show? I want to finish it.
Yeah, he sounds like he has ADD.
Oh, he does. And so do I. So forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of couples I've noticed too that, one starts a show and and there's nothing wrong with this dynamic. It's not like it means anything for the relationship, but recognizing that if it's important to you and like honoring that and then bringing it up in conversation, saying like next time we start a show, can we actually finish it together?
Well, and he would
watch it together,
right? And it's fine, but he's like, you can watch whatever you want. We'll watch because I'm asleep in less than 5 seconds. I'm like, yeah, I want to watch this, and then I'll wake up and a different show is on. I fall asleep, so it's fine. Yeah,
I don't watch.
I mean,
TV
I
with
can't. You don't. Yeah, you watch your own show.
I watch my own show
Right.
because he doesn't watch shows. He'll watch only sports, and not that I don't mind sports, but when I'm unwinding, I need something that's just going to draw me in and I can be mindless.
She needs
and
a show.
I'm not mindless with sports. I need to look at my phone or just now if I'm looking at my phone, I'm doing work stuff and I'm not decompressing.
Would he come downstairs and watch a show with you?
No, we can attract him if we watch a military-esque movie.
Oh, he's like, shooting.
Then we can get him in.
Okay.
Other than that,
he's out.
Other than that, he's out. Yeah, he can't. And he doesn't go to the movie. And I love the movies. But I go to the movies with my kids. But
Yeah.
we don't watch TV together.
I make Tony watch The Bachelor. I make him watch all my shows.
I mean, I think that's good if he will watch that with you. I mean, it's important as long as you're also receptive too when he
I'm
goes
not.
to turn on.
I am not receptive. It's my way or the highway.
But if he doesn't care, then that's
She's
okay
in
too.
15 minutes, so it doesn't matter. It works. But you guys probably don't go long because they go out to dinner every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys have quality time together.
A
right?
lot.
Yeah. And so sometimes too, that's another important thing that I think most couples don't do. They don't take space apart. You know, when you have kids, your focus becomes the kids.
Right.
And then you've got to schedule dates together. you got to make that romantic time together.
Are you saying that people should do once a week if they're, home with their kids?
I mean, I would say if you can do once a week, that's a nice ideal, right? But if at least a couple times a month you can get together as a couple and make that quality time to have, time apart from the kids in some form or fashion, that really will help build a bridge in your relationship. And then you're able to communicate, and it's not just the focus of the kids, because what ends up happening too, right, and I see this quite a bit, is that, okay, so you have, 2 children, you go through maybe 23 years of cycle, right? Because, you had one at 2, one was born, and then maybe you had one 3 years later. Well, now, if you haven't had that romantic time together for 21 years and you're not really focused on each other, guess what happens when they get out of the house and either, go off on their own or go off to college or wherever they're going?
You hate each other. You're strangers.
You're strangers. And then all of a sudden you're trying to you're working on your relationship to get it back, but you're not best friends anymore at that point. You're co-parents.
Best friends versus co-parents.
And some people don't even like each other after they go through 21 years of parenting together. They don't even have that romantic spark for that person. And that's why you can't wait for it to go, you can't wait a year. You and say, okay, well, now we're going to have one date a year and it's going to be great, because I'm not going to say that it will 100% pull your relationship apart, because obviously it could always work. Maybe that's what works for your relationship. But if you don't make time to really love on your partner, then of course, how do you think that's going to come when the kids aren't in the house, and you're, maybe at this point you realize you have no even similar interests. You don't even like the same things.
Oh my God, this sounds awful.
I'm depressed. Adam, don't say it, Adam. Don't give me the 5-minute warning. I'm depressed, and I feel like I'm a little bit of a biatch. I feel like Tony does so much for me. My love language is chores, and he does everything. Morning, noon, and night. He does everything for me. Everything. And I think I'm a bitch.
No, you're not.
Well, maybe just today.
You're not a bitch.
I'm not?
No.
Oh. Mm-mm. Well, I don't really like doing things.
Well, I think what you're telling me is it's work, right? And it's being realistic about our expectations. It's being realistic with ourselves. It's being realistic with our partners. And don't be a jerk,
right,
Meredith. Be nice. Be kind. Compliment. I have to remind myself these. If you couldn't tell, this is my mantra.
Be kind, be nice, compliment.
My personality can be very domineering, and I recognize that. But I mean, that's what I heard from you today, for sure. Brian,
it's great.
We just have a lot of we have a lot of masculine energy, which I didn't think I did.
But I think I have a lot of feminine too, right? No,
who?
Me?
You?
Yeah.
No.
Just
no, you do.
Yeah,
there's just a lot to talk about.
Will you come back?
I will.
I mean, this hour flew by.
Thank God we had Brian.
My head is
we would have been so awkward in the beginning.
How can people find you, Lisa?
So they can find me on Instagram. My handle is feminine.sexy.
Oh.
Feminine.sexy.
Or you can go to my website, which is sexyfeminine.com.
And so they just reach out and say, hey, I want a session. This is what's going on in my life.
Yes. You can either, I can give you my business cell as well. But really, if you go on to sexyfeminine.com, there's a button that you can press for a complimentary consultation. I do those for, 60 to 75 minutes. I just do a session to make sure, one, it's a good fit. When you are signing up with me, you are becoming my partner, just as I'm becoming yours. Just like you would in a relationship, right? You want to make sure it's a good fit. Right. I want to make sure that I can help you. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not there.
Love partnerships.
Yeah.
I love that it's Zoom too.
Yeah. I think
really
I might sign Alexa up for a session.
I feel like I want to sign up for a session.
I know. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
sexyfeminine.com. That's where we can find you.
Sexyfeminine.com.
I love
That's
it.
amazing. Thanks for coming.
This was so much fun.
I'm recharged
Yeah, so
and
much fun.
reflective
Thank you.
I'm really reflective.
Mm.
I'm going to be so kind and nice.
today.
Just today. Just for a couple of hours.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm Meredith Keach.
I'm Stephanie Weinstein.
I'm Lisa Acker.
Brian Bell.
Woo!
Thanks
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
That's the
Thank
show.